This is GNN.
Hi, this is Cheryl Gallant, your Conservative Member of Parliament for the vast Green riding of Renfrew-Nipissing-Pembroke. I want to thank everyone who wrote, emailed, or called in responding to the last edition of the Gallant Night News. The overwhelmingly positive response Canadians are giving from coast to coast to coast is deeply appreciated. As always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. But first, here is the news you need to know. For 2 straight weeks after news leaked out on Trudeau's secret payoff, American audiences were just hearing one message: Canada pays terrorists. Take a look at some of these headlines on American media. On July 4th, American media had a story with the headline, "Widow goes after money Canada will give to ex-Gitmo prisoner." On July 7th, the U.S. media did a video, "Ex-Gitmo detainee who killed U.S. soldier receives millions from Canada." In fact, it was included in the headline news updates all day on July 7th. All day long, Americans watched that message: Canada pays terrorists. But that was not the end of it. On July 11th, a highly watched show interviewed former U.S. Special Forces soldier Lane Morris, who was injured during the firefight. The hits kept coming. When the judge ruled against Sergeant Spear's widow's application to freeze the terrorist payoff, it was being covered in the U.S. with the headline, "Canada pays ex-Gitmo detainee who killed U.S. soldier millions, but soldier's widow may never see a dime." For 2 straight weeks, all Americans heard was "Canada pays terrorists." The last impression we need at this time is to have Americans think this was a decision supported by all Canadians. Americans are fair-minded, and they won't hold all Canadians accountable for the actions of one person, Trudeau, but only if we let them know. Defending Canada's reputation with average Americans is too important not to respond. Yet, when my Conservative colleagues defended Canadian jobs in a message taken directly to the people, Liberals and a few in the media overreacted. With the damage done by the payoff to the terrorists, the media, egged on by Trudeau, made a bad situation worse. Now, I welcome the influence I'm told I now have, but that power really belongs to you, the viewer. So be sure to share this video with your friends. The $10.5 million payoff raises an interesting dilemma. When Trudeau does something everybody knows would antagonize the U.S. president, should it be reported, or should it be covered up, lest it find its way into the U.S. media? For example, what should the media do when Trudeau is seen supporting someone the president considers a criminal? The decision by Justin Trudeau to give $20 million to a foundation set up by the Clintons at this point in time is reckless. Trudeau must stop payment on the $20 million and reverse the decision immediately. Giving $20 million to the Clinton Foundation is needlessly provocative. The Clinton family's foundation was at the heart of the cash for access scandal that stalked Hillary Clinton during her losing bid for the U.S. presidency. Trudeau is gambling Canadian jobs through his association with Hillary Clinton. What do you think? Would $20 million be better spent meeting the needs of Canadian veterans? Well, I want to hear from you. Visit CherylGallant.com/ClintonCash and let me know what you think about Justin Trudeau giving $20 million to the Clinton Foundation. In other news, a fringe party has launched an attack ad on YouTube. Now, this ad is not against any particular party or any policy. This group produced an attack ad against the all-party, non-partisan Parliamentary Outdoor Caucus. The mission of the Parliamentary Outdoor Caucus is to support fishing, hunting, trapping, and shooting sports as acceptable, traditional, and environmentally sustainable outdoor heritage activities. We have a safety credo and a conservation ethic as our highest priorities. Now, as someone who's enjoyed the typical Canadian pursuits of hunting and fishing, I share my constituents' love of the great outdoors. When decisions are being made in parliaments, in this case about Canadians and how we enjoy traditional heritage activities, it's important for members of parliament from all political parties to have the facts. That's why I belong to a group in parliament that encourages membership from all political parties, trying to prevent MPs from different parties from coming together and talking with one another is censorship. Censorship is the hot new fad for far-left fringe groups. Now, they're not just targeting conservatives, but all members of parliament, those who refuse to support their radical demands. I welcome MPs from other parties who share the desire to work together for the benefit of all Canadians, but I want to know what you think. Have your say about the Parliamentary Outdoor Caucus at cherylgallant.com/great-outdoors. Speaking of far-left fringe groups, an organization wants to limit free expression. Using extreme, offensive comparisons, it wants to censor what parliamentarians can say. This unprecedented attack on democratically elected representatives was based on a dishonest, out-of-context, phony news story from a left-wing front group for an institute named after a former NDP leader. If the Broadbent Institute wants to use me for clickbait fundraising, well, that's just politics. But when a group calling itself journalists seek to silence elected representatives, they are seeking to silence the voices of Canadians. Members of Parliament actually speak face to face with people. When Parliament's not sitting, MPs are traveling around our ridings. We're listening to people at events. We're listening to people at service clinics. We're listening to people who walk in the door. At our offices, we're listening to people in the evenings and on the weekends. We're listening to people when they go to the grocery store or to farm markets. That's our job. We listen, and then we give voice to what we hear. Now, some in the media might not like what we have to say, but that's just how free expression works in a democracy. Vigorous debate in Parliament is the true foundation of our democracy. Since signing the Magna Carta over 800 years ago, it's been Parliament holding the Crown accountable that's enabled healthy democracy, the healthy democracy that we have today. Any self-appointed group calling for censorship must acknowledge the danger to free expression, their attempt to limit debate in Parliament, and it must apologize to all Canadians for their attack on our democracy's true foundations. I think that's all the time we have today, but if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and we'll try to get to them the next time. Live from Ottawa, this is Cheryl Gallant, wishing you a great weekend.
This is GNN.